Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Adam, Neil, Refracted, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Let's get it on!
Good morning.
Good morning. We are suffering a few technical issues with the computer here today. Flat Earth Debate Central, aka my front room that gets converted into a studio each day we do the show, and it's given me some trouble. That said, fiddled and faffed till about 3 in the morning or whatever it was. Probably not 3 in the morning, I'm exaggerating a little bit there. Very late, and then did the same after my daughter's class, and now, having tested it just before the live show, it seems to work perfectly. As is the case, this computer does seem to respond well to fiddling. It seems okay now, having embarrassingly got in touch with my technician guy, Craig, who does occasionally appear on the panel, to say, this stupid computer's probably failing again, it's doing this, and give him a list of all the things I've done thus far, and not resolve the problem, only to come back and then resolve the problem maybe an hour or two later. But I've probably put a solid 5 or 6 hours into this computer over the last 24 hours to keep it straight for this show. Anyway, that being said, it's all working, so that's good. Let's do a bit of housekeeping as we're here. Got 28 people watching. Exciting stuff. Go ahead, Neil.
Where has Click OK been? I haven't seen him in a while, and he started to show up less after QE took a run at him.
Probably unconnected. He's like anybody. He's got a life, right? He runs a business for a start. He joins from the workshop of his showroom. So he's got a showroom with all his computer stuff that he's flogging, and then in the back where it's a lot more, disorganized as far as a customer would appreciate, right? It's not. It's organized chaos. But he's repairing stuff. So as he's soldering stuff and opening up PCBs to figure out what the problem is, he's listening to the show and occasionally interjecting. But if he's overrun with work, he's not going to be keen to join us so he can just ignore us, right?
I got it. It just seemed a little weird. QE had it out with him a little bit, and then he showed up less and less. But that's all right. I missed the guy. He's a good guy.
After the fact, he did say to me, so I did actually by chance see him. I can't remember the reason why. Oh yeah, my daughter's broken the H on her keyboard. I've forgotten to sort that out, actually. I must do that. So I went in with her keyboard, and he's like, by coincidence, somebody else has got a fault with a similar computer that uses the same keyboard, and that will entail them replacing their keyboard, which means the old one and its letter H will hopefully be spare, as in the scrap one I can use. I haven't actually asked him, so I must do that. My daughter's laptop's missing a H on the keyboard. So there we go. I'll have to ask him about that. But no, when I was down there asking him, he did mention that. But that's just the way it is. QE is quite obstinate from time to time. Normally he'll justify it if asked. I don't know. But it's Craig. He might have done. Who knows? Who cares? It's all good. He doesn't have to fiddle with my tinker. That's the computer, that is. So good. Happy days. Let's do some housekeeping. Any scientific evidence of gravity? They don't all go at once. I mean, surely you're all queuing up unless my computer has actually failed. You've all disappeared. Doesn't look like it. Hello, Discord.
I was hoping to give them.
Or we could have total silence. That's just as good also. Let's try that one more time. Right, we'll say hello first. Hello, Discord. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Try this once more. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No,
None.
you would have to actually observe phenomenon first.
We don't get loads more enthusiasm over the next couple of questions. I'll just start talking about microphones. I'm telling you now.
No, there's no scientific evidence of gravity. Like Vax said, you need a naturally observed phenomenon.
We're going back to basics in 2025, talking about science and the scientific method wherever possible. So in case you're wondering, if you're a regular viewer, why is it that I expand upon science, the scientific method, hypothesis construction, elucidation of the cause of natural phenomena every time the word science comes up? It's because that's our raison d'etre for 2025. We want the audience, if they're unfamiliar, to be acutely aware of what science is, so that you, that's the audience, know what it isn't.
Pardon me, isn't that question malformed if you're a Newtonian gravity guy?
Malformed, full stop, actually, but yes.
Yeah,
Most
they
of... Go on.
yeah, they're claiming a universal law, which would be a natural law of everything going down, I believe, isn't it?
In Newtonian, no, yeah, convoluted, because what you're saying is it's not only a category error scientifically speaking, because it's not establishing the cause of a natural phenomena that doesn't exist because it's out of date. If we were to work in the context that it wasn't out of date and we still worked under that rhetoric of mass attracting mass, all things go down 9.8 meters per second, then that would be the description of something that they claim occurs always, which would be a natural law. My God, that was a brilliant summary. I am ace. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Nope.
You can't do anything to the stars to science them.
Okay. Hey, D. Is it because the show's technically early for you today?
Who you talking to me? What up?
I don't normally see you on a live show.
Not
hey,
early.
yeah.
It's later.
Oh yeah. Well, no. My daughter. I got a phone call from work, and my daughter wasn't feeling well, so I went and picked her up, and now I'm home. And then I happened to see this thing with the teams, so I noticed that was up there. So when I saw Neil say, "Let's get it on," I just happened to respond to the
Teams?
notification.
As in, what, the replacement for Skype or something? What do you mean, Teams?
Yeah. I already downloaded the app, so I was looking for you. I looked under Flat Earth, FED, Nathan, but I see you didn't set it up yet for the thing. I didn't know if you was just I didn't know if you was converting now to get it out the way versus waiting to the last minute at the end of April, May, or whatever.
Absolutely. I'll be waiting till the absolute last second. With
We're changing something? What's being changed?
I won't be.
Here?
I'll hope
my
that,
God.
My hope is that they'll just do it with me doing nothing. Right. So with G, I'm so lazy. With G Plus, as we now refer to it, which is, I can't remember what it used to be called. I think it used to be called Hangout, and a derivative called Hangouts on Air that got you to broadcast on YouTube, right? But they were intertwined. When they got rid of that, I just hung out till the bitter end. And when they physically changed it, I paid to keep the updated version, which is now called Meet. So I'd rather pay a tenner just to keep things exactly as they are. I don't like change. I'd just rather keeping things as they were. So I'm paying a tenner a month for Google, just so I can have the Hangouts.
Meets is popular for like when you're having like those interviews, group interviews for jobs or whatever, or other types of networking. I don't know how much leg room there is with this Meets compared to this Hangout Google thing.
It'd just be similar. So what we're using is equivalent to Skype. So this now Meet is just a Skype alternative, if you will. So it's no better or worse. You could be indifferent to it, right? It's no different. And the same will be with Skype when they update it to Teams or whatever they're going to give us. My wife uses it with her work as far as I know. You use Teams, don't you, hun? Is it Teams that you talk and have your meetings on? No. You have it on Hangouts, so you do it on Meet. Oh, okay, so you use the same as us. So I assumed that my wife used Teams, and she doesn't. She uses this. In other words, professionals. She works for an electricity company called Octopus here in the UK. They use Meet. In other words, it's obviously well regarded, and it's worth it. I pay my tenner, and I'm quite happy.
And therefore, the Earth is a sphere.
And therefore, it's a ball because we all like meat.
Oh, Nathan, I want to give you mad props on how you dealt with that guy who you called the bearded one. He was the one that was supposed to be, I don't know if he was a theologian or whatever he was, but I forget the name of the show was. I just watched it, and you were breaking it down, and he was talking about science that cannot prove this, and you was breaking it down. I commented on it, but he had a beard, dark beard, and he was speaking about the Bible and how the Bible is relative to evolution or something like that. I got to find what number show it was. I just saw it, but I don't know what number it is. But anyway, I wanted to salute you and say it kind of reiterated the fact of how well FED, you and the whole panel breaks down, and hopefully anybody listening to overstand, not just understand that science, is not just discovering, observing, and seeing, and happen to come across or trip over or, peek around and look at and see it. And what's the thing you say, Neil? See it, name it, and claim it, or whatever. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we're listening to you.
Oh, okay.
We're listening, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my phone sounded like it was so silent. Yeah, but and you broke it down, as usual. It wasn't like something new. It was the same redundant factual truth. How they want to claim pseudoscience as science by brushing science off. One word you said was no, science is not a dominatrix. It doesn't have a whip. I thought that was hilarious. Now you know it's what I'm talking about. Does that sound familiar on the line that you said?
Nathan don't remember yesterday. You think he's going to remember that?
I know. Let me look
I
at
remember
it.
that line.
It was show number 2296. Yeah, that's what the one it was. 2296. Yeah, I just thought that was brilliant. Again, how you stop it and break it down and dissect it, let the audience hear, and how you reiterate it, and it actually proves that everybody from every angle, the layman to the person with the million followers, the charlatan, how they're all frauds. All frauds are all misinformation muppets, and they really don't know. So they need to stop using the word science. Period.
Now, Dave,
Stop
my favorite is when Nathan says science is the elucidation of cause and effect.
Exactly. Yeah, John.
As much as I'm loving you blowing smoke at my ass, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was just saying, there could be a prostitute named Science with a whip. I don't see why that's not okay.
Or
Maybe
stripper
that's
named
what.
Science.
Right, a stripper named Science. It's possible.
There is, and it's called pseudoscience. And she's got a whip. And she's whipped the whole world into shape of what science is not.
I appreciate it. Just to keep on these points just for a sec. So there's a certain shock factor that maybe people had knocked out of them by Jaron 10 years ago when he was good, talking about exactly this, right? The Jesuits and how they came up with the Copernican model, right? How it's the Roman Catholic Church that give us the ideas of being on a ball that some of us took for granted many years ago for us now, right? But that has a certain shock factor when you find out that it's come from the church. I don't need correcting, Neil. The Roman Catholic Church. Because there's plenty of people who are part of that church or its derivatives that might be unaware. Now, for me, it wasn't necessarily Jaron because he hadn't done it yet when I approached my uncle, who's a pastor. Now he's retired now, but at the time he was active in his church, and people would look to him like you would with any pastor. So I, given he's my uncle, went and approached him about this, only to have exactly the same sort of attitude put to me as was put to the audience by Mr. Jesuit yesterday. I'm not going to try and say it's a bit like Summon Jaeger. It took me about 25 attempts to get my name. around a tongue around his name. But in any event, the guy that we were covering yesterday, Guy, he, if you're unfamiliar with that, you might be taken aback, especially if you're a Christian, because you're like, what? What do you mean it's perfectly acceptable for us to have all these space rhetorics and fall in line with them? It's like, no, not fall in line with them, create them. They're owned by, invented by the Roman Catholic Church. If you don't know that and you're like, what do you mean you're cool with the Big Bang? And then they go, yeah, it's one of us that invented it, right? And then they wheel out George standing next to Einstein or some crap. And you're like, what do you mean? It's a priest, and suddenly your head explodes. Well, when I confronted, his name's Adrian, but when I approached my uncle and did that shock did kind of happen to me in that moment 10 years ago. You're like, bloody hell, I can't quite believe you're defending this stuff. Surely you would go with the Bible and what the Bible says. Now, admittedly, the guy we covered yesterday was probably a little bit more eloquent than my uncle in terms of his defense of that and gerrymandering the lines between what is acceptable to read between on the Bible's page versus some dude associated with the church or otherwise that's come up with a completely contradictory story to the words on the page that you are okay to read between because we're the ones who were reading between it when we gave you the alternative view, is what the guy yesterday said. Now, I'm just familiar with that, D, so it's nice to hear that you can appreciate how casually I can take that crap apart.
Exactly. And it was one time when we weren't able to do that because it went over our heads. Because that's how diabolical and cunning the heliocentric belief and those proponents for it are. They've infiltrated everything you could think of: science with pseudoscience, and with theology, with bearing false witness by doing fallacious inferences on scripture. So if a scripture says something literally, they'll reinterpret it to their audience or their congregation in their own way to favor what they're trying to program the people to misunderstand, if you will, with giving them misinformation. And it's like a very cunning, devious thing that they're doing. And it went over our heads back in 2015, 16, 17, 18. But that's how sharp FED is. FED is that sharp because now you got people like McDuffie, Faulkner, and everybody, that guy you talk to, everybody that's on the so-called biblical side who are intertwining and convoluting the heliocentric and even Darwinism in some aspects into the Bible by paraphrasing altogether contrary to what the Bible actually says or any scriptures say. And it's not impressive, I wouldn't say, but you got to give them credit for for taking deceit to the next level.
Well, it's not really deceit.
Hold on, just wanted to do a quick shout out to Paula. She's in the chat. So Bible U is currently scrolling her way through, formerly known as Bible Literalist. And if you want to go through I think hermeneutics is the correct terminology, of the Bible and what it actually says on the page without interpreting it beyond the original text in Greek or through whatever it is you're translating it from, Paula's your man. Paula's your woman in that regard, because there is no reading between the lines, hence the former name of Bible U in Bible Literalist. That's the truest sense of what she does there. So if you want that particular type of information, rather than the Jesuit reinterpretation and heliocentric overview that we got from the Roman Catholic Church and its higher-ups yesterday, then I strongly advise you go and check out Paula's channel, Bible U. She's scrolling away past the chat, if you are in the chat now. Also, shout out to, oh man, I haven't got a big enough screen to read who that is, Pablo, for the super chat. Just gives me money. Doesn't have a message. Maybe you put a rude message and YouTube didn't like it. Either way, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna end it off like this. So, not all people that are heliocentric worshipers are atheists. Basically, I mean, not are self-proclaimed atheists. That's how sophisticated the deception is.
No, they're all in the church now, D.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It started by the church. They think he's reiterating that. So people don't know that. They think that, well, there's one side that says it's flat earth, and that's the biblical and the worshiping faith. And then the other side, they're the atheists. They're all Satanists. They're all for the for the other side. They serve another master, yada yada. All the rhetoric of as actually like polarity, but there is no polarity. The actual person that's claiming to be is in the middle. That has poisoned the lake everywhere. That would be a Catholic priest and the Catholic Church. So it's really hard to find out the sheep's behind the wolf's clothing. No, the wolf's behind the sheep's clothing.
Yeah,
It's
but
very
if I
tricky.
go
man.
to anybody in my church and try to present flat Earth, I'm known as a dissembler, somebody that's causing discord, that's sowing discord and causing confusion, because I'm believing in a psyop and not science.
Exactly. That's the point. You're now even further reiterating what I'm saying. That's how sophisticated the deception is. That the people who should be recognizing, literally, figurative, whatever way you want to read it, it says nothing but everything that corroborates what we're saying here. Everything. But when you say that, the actual people who are in the church are putting you to a stake. That's the funny thing about it. And they're embracing the astronauts and the Neil Armstrong. You know what I'm saying? That's how sophisticated it is. It's a long hill uphill.
It's not sophisticated. It's confirmation bias. They're coming to read, and I think it's called exegesis, when you bring stuff with you and try to put it in the Bible and make the Bible fit your worldview or your belief that you had prior, or your overriding belief.
Yeah, that's certainly a term familiar to me because of Bible literalist Paula, otherwise known as Bible U in the chat.
Yes. Yes. That's where I learned it as well.
And I don't want to say sophisticated as giving them props or complimenting them or give them, high prestige. I'm just saying the complexity of it. It's easy for you to say that, Refractor, and anybody on this panel, because we've already done the homework, we've done the research, we have the discernment, the ability to discern this trickery. But the people out there in the world, a lot of them don't. They don't, and as long as they don't get to hear this show by the multitudes and multitudes, that's what I was saying yesterday. That's what I was saying. How we may sound pedantic and petty, and stop making a big thing out of it. But that's what me and Brian would say. We can't afford. We have to tread lightly. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, here's a good example, a good metaphor. In reality, I and Chocolate and Eli cannot drive around in a fancy car without music banging and have a dead body in the trunk, because we'll get pulled over even if we have our music low, no tints on our window, just because there are certain patrolmen out there that like to just harass. No, listen to me. Just shut up, Neil.
Whoa. You're making an argument that you should be allowed to drive. Hold on. You're making an argument you should be allowed to drive around with a dead body in your trunk.
No,
that's not the argument he's making. He's saying, in spite of whether or not he's got a dead body in the trunk, being pulled over.
I'm going to get pulled over.
Because he's black.
Because he's
means
black.
He can't get away with having a dead body in the trunk, is what he's saying.
Right. So my father used to say, if you're going to be driving dirty, follow the stop signs and the red lights. Tread carefully. So what I'm saying, I'm trying to give a metaphor. It may not be parallel, but I'm saying, being that we are trying, our mission here is to not care whether this one or that one understands it. Now, don't care after you've already told them and they still want to cross the road when you tell them there's a 4-lane, traffic. If they still crossing and get hit, hey, I did my job. But the fact of the matter is that we're still trying to tell people that are not aware of this deadly freeway, we have to tread carefully and keep our nose clean, because they're already hating us from the jump. Neil's already being judged just for even wearing a flat earth tag of any kind out of his mouth or on his body. So we got to be careful. We have to just tread lightly. It's nothing wrong with that. Even as a Christian, you have to tread lightly. There's certain things you're not supposed to do, like profanity. Or that's what I'm saying. So there's no big deal about doing it.
Try being a bit less black?
No, I'm just.
Have you tried
lighten your skin.
There you go. There you go. If you want to look at what the culture claims what black is, wearing your pants down, having your loud music, having smoke reefer coming out your car, all of the stereotypes, if that's what they call what black is, then yes, you need to be less black and just be a freaking human being and a law-abiding person. That's all I'm saying.
I do tend to find that
Or
as a
don't-
white man, I can drive around, needle hanging out my arm, spliff, and a dead body in the trunk. Absolutely no worries whatsoever. It's unjust.
Yeah,
it's
you
unfair. The
did
world's
that.
just not right.
Yeah, you just.
I got
did that.
pulled
It's
over
not
more
saying-
times than D-Rose, I guarantee it.
You've got a look about you,
Yeah.
and you kneel.
Yeah,
And
you're
you got to
Italian.
look at your back. You got to look at your backdrop, though, bro. You shared your backdrop. Your plates lock onto you. They got everything on you. What they call them? Previously? Any previously? That's why, bro.
Well, you think my car's you think I would have my car in my name? Really?
That's another reason. If you happen to fall asleep at the wheel like you said you had, or happen to have may have, which we all do, not fully stopped and still went forward without a full stop, yeah. And they look at your thing on there, like, oh, okay. This is owned by Tracy Whitaker. Oh, let me pull this over. That looks like a Caucasian male. Bro, that's
Oh.
how the system works. And then they'll pull you over and be like, could you show me your registration?
The drivers that are asleep at the wheel tend to pull themselves over eventually.
And die.
Darn
right?
right they do. That's not
Yeah,
what happened to me this last accident, but it has happened to me in previous ones where I flipped the car, sound asleep.
Oh my
And I
god!
feel like you guys are expecting a little bit too much of people as far as accepting information. They call it the ship of state in law, where you slightly nudge the ship in a certain direction and it changes over time. You're not going to have a huge just influx of people who get it all of a sudden. It doesn't work that way.
I get that. I understand that 1,000%. But in order for them to even bother listen, that's up to them after that to take it in or believe it or go do the research to try to disprove it or, try to, come to conclusion that, oh, he was right. But I'm saying though, it's almost like this. For a record to be played or for a show to be attended, you can't have a promotion to grab all demographics. If you know your audiences are like you, then you can have the cussing and the profanity, all the wild stuff on there. But if you're trying to reach a broad audience, whether they come or not, you can't have your promotion or have a room or whatever. Look what happened to Pee Wee Herman. Guy that did Pee Wee Herman was doing fine until he was caught minding his business like a grown ass man, like we all do, in a freaking porn theater.
I don't do that.
His business.
Shut up.
Okay, listen to me, bruh.
Yeah,
Shut
you're
up.
Too
in.
much, Neil. You talk too much and don't listen.
Shut the
Once he
hell
did
up.
that, once he did that,
Oh
they
my
judged him.
God.
They judged him a certain way. So you can either be
You can either
be
you
profane.
can either be caustic, or you can either be next week with Pee Wee Herman and shut up.
I'm glad I triggered you, QE, because that's the
Yeah,
main
my
thing
God,
right there.
shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Hey,
Either you
Nathan,
trying to reach the people, you just trying to do the same shit every week. Argue with the same people every week.
What's your problem? What's going on? This is because he's black.
It's
Is that the problem?
fucking nonsense, incoherent drivel, making shit up. It's fucking boring. Shut up.
No swearing.
Fuck you.
Hey, Nathan,
Both of you
your
stop
mic's
swearing, please.
going in. Your mic's going in and out.
Oh, it's my
It was
stupid
fading
gate.
in and out.
Fair enough. I hoped I'd get away with it. I'll have to be even more vigilant on my mute button rather than trusting this stupid gate in voice meter banana. Thank you for letting me know. There we go. I've turned it off. I was hoping to get away with it. Anyway, right, should we cover a bit of SciManDan
Yes, please.
from yesterday? So yesterday we were, strictly speaking, dumbing down the quite highbrow nature of the Jesuit priest that was talking. Quite sophisticated chap that he was. Now we're at the other end of the scale. It's dumbed down about as low as we can go. The bar doesn't get any lower. So let's see if we can bring this up a peg, maybe. We'll see how we get on. Anyway, I have put a link to SciManDan's video. Please let SciManDan know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that won't immediately get removed by the YouTube bots or SciManDan himself. Just politely let him know we're helping you along in the algorithm. Everybody loves more comments and views. Hopefully he'd do the same for us if he was to do a response video. In the meantime, while you're toddling along, I do mean that in sincerity, do actually pop along to SciManDan's video. I'll put the link back in right now, as it was a while. Thanks to D. I'll put the link up. But there it goes in the live stream chat, so please do pop along. And I'm not just saying it for my health, as in I do want the live audience. Can't see how many there are of you at the moment. I've got too many windows open. But however many there are of you, I want you to actually pop along to Dan's video and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get removed. I'm repeating myself to give you time so that we don't get into the meat and potatoes of this video before you get back. So we will repeat this call to action while the people who are in the live stream chat do toddle along to Dan's video to let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that won't get removed immediately. So hopefully that's given you all enough chance to do that, and we'll toddle along to our own video once you come back. Hopefully a few of you are returning now, having done that. Let's let whoever that is, and then we'll get into it. Perfect timing, Chocolate, giving me a little bit of a wiggle room without saying the same thing 4 more times. How are you? Well, that's good to know. I'm glad to hear it, Chocolate. We got Brian as well from his prison cell. How's the prison telephone doing you, Brian?
I like prison. Don't say that. Oh, Jesus.
It's Brian from Broadmoor on the prison telephone. Right, let's get into this. Right, this Dan video. Like I say, hopefully we'll raise the peg. I doubt it.
Potential huge news, everyone. Has CC, Chris from New York, Westchester County, changed his mind about flat Earth? Maybe, but also maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, whoever you discuss now, CC, because you've got a bit of a thing for him, fair enough, Dan, right? Low-hanging fruit obsessions, good for you. But in so doing, you're just identifying various different flatties that aren't really flatties. They're believers. Now, that's kind of fair enough if you want to believe in a flat Earth. It's each to his own. You can believe in a ball if you want. I mean, that's fair enough. But we aren't that group of people. It means we've separated the wheat from the chaff. Now, maybe that's a byproduct of TFE. Good for TFE to have achieved that. But we know it's flat. It's measured flat. Earth, that is. So there's no changing our mind once you've seen the measurements of Earth and how flat it is. You can't turn around and go, oh, I'll change my mind. It doesn't work like that for us. But it's nice that you're identifying these believers so they can be separated from us. CC is obviously one of them.
One thing is for sure, you absolutely have to stick around to find out. Roll the titles.
Sorry, roll the titles. Dan, you make this video. You don't have an editor. Are you giving yourself a note? What the frick? Right, this is not a production house that you're running here. It's just you. Roll VT. You're telling yourself, Dan. You're giving out these terms like to a colleague that doesn't exist. I love it. Dan's way of sounding professional. Now, by chance, I have actually had some media training. So these terms that these YouTubers use, right, are shorthand references to the guy in the editing booth. Yeah. This is the bit that I want the VT to roll, that videotape. What a clown. Roll VT. I'm just letting myself know because I'm the editor of this video. Roll VT. And cut.
Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, SciManDan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we get...
Friday? It's not Friday. Oh, you've given it a title that's only relevant on the day of publication. Oh dear.
Underway with today's episode, I was reading today about the private lunar lander Blue Ghost.
Really? You obviously haven't been paying much attention to the videos we put out daily, have you, Dan? too much of a coward to actually listen or maybe respond to the fact that the sky vacuum isn't real. There are no trips to the moon. There is no rock residing in a 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum. If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas you're breathing currently would have never developed in the first place. It would have vacated into the area 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum you think the moon resides in, making every aspect of this garbage story that we're about to hear from Dan immediately bunk.
That recently touched down on the moon's surface with a special delivery for NASA. And I was reading...
No, it didn't. For the above reasons I just gave. Second law of thermodynamics violation. A trip via a sky vacuum we aren't going to have done. Pay attention. Your religion in a sky vacuum's bunk, mate. It violates natural law.
This story on Ground News, which was actually founded by a former NASA engineer called Harleen Kaur, who worked on the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, Ground News combined...
Did she? When you say worked on it, she might have worked on something on the ground before it went up, if she's old enough. I didn't really look. Nevertheless, I would suggest that she's, doing a bit of programming from the ground, because she's certainly not going to be operating on a piece of junk in a sky vacuum, because there is no such piece of junk, because there is no such sky vacuum. Space is fake, mate. All of these stories of tin cans in sky vacuums are all bollocks.
Stories and articles from thousands of outlets, local and national, in one place so readers can see the full picture of what's being reported around the world. As you can see here, Ground News shows you if there's any political leanings for...
What is this? Like, injection of news for cucks. Here you go. If you're too lazy to go out and find out what's going on in the world, we'll deliver it to you on a platter without actually researching any of it. In this instance, sky vacuum violation of the second law of thermodynamics, just there in the article, hanging out. No worries. Yeah, heavily researched much. No, this is just indoctrination. Dan's being sponsored with it, though. Of course. Because he's a cuck also, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just a big trust me, bro. That's all it is.
It's big what?
A big trust me, bro. That's all they are. On this, like, these news channels. Like what he's promoting there. It's supposed to be a special news channel, special group that finds out what's really going on. You can trust them. Trust me, bro. That's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah. What they're saying, they don't get it from Reuters. Or they do get it from Reuters, but they then do change the words a bit.
What's the difference? It's all a trust me, bro. A whole lot of it.
Countries are covering the story. With access to international eliminating bias and to compare coverage. Sign Up is, as ever, in his vehicle and he's chatting flat Earth. But this time, something seems different. Let's have a look.
Now, I've been doing this for a lot longer than you think. Okay, because remember, whenever the first video I put out was, I spent almost up to a year contemplating it. You know, trying to figure out if it was actually true or not, and going back and looking at videos and...
Called it. So I've already said, yeah, separating the wheat from the chaff. So he spent a year trying to figure out if it was flat or not, and he's still in contemplation based on the subject matter of SciManDan's video. So we're already aware of the cut of this man's jib, aren't we?
Looking at the ocean, you know, and looking at the stars and just re-examining movies.
Why? Sorry, looking at the ocean because... I mean, was that a sentence fragment? I don't think it was. I think that's just literally all he's doing. Just looking at the ocean. Okay, well, what are you going to do next? I'm going to look at the sky. Because... Well, because next I'm going to be watching some movies, you know, to think about flat Earth and that. You're right, that's the problem here, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's like, instead of actually proving it to yourself, whether it is flat or a globe, you're just going to look at stuff and then deliberate on it. Because you don't have what it takes to just prove it or disprove it. That's simple, isn't it? You don't want to go through that process. You always want to have that back door out. And that's where this guy is. I don't care if he's on flat or globe. Anyone that's teetering on the edge, it means that they're keeping that back door open, which means they're never convicted because they never actually go and find out.
You know, and
curiosity is absolutely fine, Chris. It's what makes us human. But trusting random YouTube videos...
You just literally 25 seconds ago promoted a source that you would pay for that just gave you random information that you personally won't have done any research on. You just read it and trust it. Like Brian put it, trust me, bro. But you're going to criticize this guy for it? Man, double standards much.
Over peer-reviewed.
I'm sorry, the people that listen to him, are they watching a random YouTube video?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mr. SciMan?
Science
Good morning, by the way.
Hello.
is not really the way to go, buddy.
And seen globes in every movie for no reason at all in the back of a detective's office. You know, why is it in any of these? Why is it in all of these music videos that I used to watch when I was younger? You know.
Same reason people who are Christian wear crucifixes, representative of their symbology for their religion. There's lots of globes everywhere because everyone believes they're on a globe, CC. Isn't that bleeding obvious? Why are you even asking this stupid question? What's it got to do with the nature of the actual reality we inhabit? There's lots of globes on TV. Okay. Who cares?
And then it finally occurred to me they need the conditioning.
CC, maybe you're unaware of this. Can somebody from the chat dig out the original link to CC's video? I mean, no doubt SciManDan didn't link to it, right? No, absolutely not. So he's using his material, he's not promoting him, he's not leaving a link, he's not doing like we've done earlier and saying to my audience, go and tell SciManDan we sent you, promoting him. No, he's not going to do that for this guy. He's just going to use the material at length and give him no credit, not leave a link. Wonderful. Thanks, Dan. So I can't now go and put my 2 pennyworth to this man that you're responding to? That's pretty scummy, Dan, isn't it? Oh, well, there we go. That's Dan for you. Only interested in himself and the material that he can take. Anyway, hopefully one of my chat will go and find out this man's video so we can make him aware of the reasons behind Earth being flat. That is to say, that's how we measure Earth, CC. There's no ponderance anymore. You don't have to worry about why globes are in movies anymore. Once you know that the world that you used to believe in, that's a globe, has its origins in the measurements of the flat Earth with things like elevation angle measurements to stars to create the systems that the globe is based on. In other words, for there to be a globe for Dan the clown to believe in, you must first measure Earth flat, CC. Once you know that, you don't really concern yourself with why there's bleeding globes on TV anymore. It's irrelevant. Who cares? You would know it's flat.
Having a globe in a few movie scenes and music videos is a long stretch from conditioning, don't you?
I wouldn't say it's conditioning. I'd say it's just people representing the religion that they're in. Like people wearing a crucifix. You know what I mean? Or a swastika.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with SciManDan on that. Just seeing a couple of globes here and there is a far cry from conditioning.
Yeah, I'd agree.
You think?
You see, when you see that globe, whether you even know you're looking at it or not, it doesn't make a difference.
No, I have to disagree with you there. The reason that people are putting those globes up is because of conditioning.
Yes.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be done.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're conditioned to have a representation of your religion with a crucifix, then you'll be compelled to go and buy one when you see it in a jewellery shop and then wear it around your neck. In the same way, if you're conditioned to believe you're on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum, when you see a globe, you're going to go and buy it and potentially use it for a prop on your TV show. Because why wouldn't you? But that doesn't mean that the person buying the globe goes, I must condition my audience into believing they're on a globe by having it surreptitiously in the background. No, it's just, this is stupid.
Just keeps you conditioned. Okay, they need this. They need you to be asleep.
Who the hell are they? What, the director? The guy on set, on Friends, right? Me stuck in the 90s. Yeah, he's gone and got the globe so that intentionally the guy who's watching it at the other end of the TV screen, the boob tube viewer, is going to go, oh, wow, yeah, I'm definitely on a globe because I can see one in Ross's apartment. No, that would infer that the director not only knows that it's not a globe, but knows that people need to be continually brainwashed Therefore, because he knows that that needs to be the case, he'll go out and get one intentionally to keep you brainwashed. This is such an absurd notion that I probably bought into 10 years ago when I first got here.
Okay, they need you to keep...
Sorry, who are they?
Thinking about in life and not researching flat Earth.
You haven't researched flat Earth, though. You'd know it was flat and you wouldn't be concerning yourself with how many globes there are on TV if you knew it was measured flat. Hopefully one of the audience will let CC... Divergent Droid. Obviously, of course it is. With the goods. If you are in the audience, live members, please go to CC's video and tell him at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that doesn't get immediately removed by the YouTube bots or CC himself. Let him know we've covered his video originating from his channel that was covered by SciManDan. No link was given by SciManDan. He's a scumbag, a wanker, guy who's just bleeding off other people's material and offers them absolutely no credit whatsoever. Me, the little guy, I'll send you to big old SciManDan, who's making plenty of big bucks anyway. He won't do it for anybody, though. He's only interested in his selfish self, isn't he? But there we go. That's a different note. We've now dug out this video that SciManDan's responding to, earning his keep from. Right? He's earning a living from CC's video. We'll have to go hunting to find the original link. But now we can let CC know. You don't need to concern yourself with globes on TV that you think are there intentionally to keep your program there, CC. It's measured flat. Earth is measured flat in every single instance ever. Now, if you suggest that to a ball believer, they'll tell you it's because it's a really big ball. That is to say, they know already it's measured flat. And they'll apologise for how fucking sphere-shaped it ain't being measured when they tell you, oh, yeah, locally we can measure it flat. No, there's no flatness to a ball ever. But yet Earth is measured flat in every single instance because it is flat. Now you know, CC. Okay? Now, it might be the case that a few of my audience have toddled along to SciManDan as well because I shared a link to his video, in spite of him utilising someone else's material to produce this, like I am. I'll share the love. Dan won't. Scum. Wanker.
It doesn't look like he's for turning yet, does it?
They don't want you to know this. They're trying to buy as much time as they can. They've only been doing this for a short
Who the hell are they?
Time now. You know, and if you really look at it in the terms of, you know, a couple, maybe a year, I mean, not a year, 4 generations, you know, that's really what they're working on right now. You know, 4 generations of lies. Forget about 500 years ago.
What's he babbling about? I mean, if we give the backstory, the origin story to the heliocentric Copernican Huygens model, if you want to call it that, then we can do that. We can give you a blow-by-blow account of who invented it and when they invented it and why they invented it, and the end result being you reifying it into being a ball that you couldn't be standing on. You could potentially stand in if you understand the maths. Now, we can explain that, but you're peddling this like there's a nefarious hidden hand that needs us after 3 generations, 4 generations to buy the lies that you're suggesting because there's a globe on Friends. He didn't say Friends. I'm just using that as a nice coherent example, giving it a bit more padding where he hasn't.
Is there anybody that's 200 years old by any chance?
No. Well, I was going to ask.
Guy?
No.
I was going to ask that this morning. How did they go about pushing forth the globe that the whole world is convinced now?
They didn't. It was the best explanation given by the powers that should not be at the time, Copernicus specifically, and then people have run with it and reified it of their own volition. Now, I've said this many times, it doesn't necessarily follow that somebody who comes up with the mathematics to describe motions of the sky measured off a flat plane would automatically also, like we used to, reify his own mathematics into actuality. I don't necessarily believe that that would be the case. It seems absurd. And when you go back and tally up people like Newton declaring their own mathematics to be absurd in physical reification and condemning any man who chooses to reify it, you can only assume it's true for the people who are charged with coming up with better predictive mathematics for the lights in the sky. I don't automatically assume that Copernicus thought he was on a ball. Far from it. That seems absurd when you understand the maths.
I have to say
Then
something.
why is it so hard to get people to realize that it's flat? You mean to tell me because those people had high names, they were people of prestige, that they managed to flip it into a ball, but now we need some people of prestige to flip it back flat? Why
We've
is it
done
that
it.
it's taking
Nah.
so long?
With us, you're always projecting things out to a higher power, Neil. We reified the ball. We don't have to be on it. Well, that's you and your choice, like I now accept. People can believe, if they choose to, that they're on a ball. People can choose to believe Earth is flat. I know Earth is flat. Therefore, both positions, believing it's flat or knowing it's a ball when it isn't, are untenable positions to hold.
You're missing what I said.
As a little one,
Go on, Demok.
as a little one, what did you think? What did you think was in the sky, Neil? When you looked up, did you think you were looking at squares, flat, sun, moon? Did you think they were balls? Because the little ones next to me think they're balls or something like a ball. That's what they think.
Right, but what I'm
Stuff up
saying is
there,
the
yeah.
people had authority back then. Copernicus, Galileo, all of these other people, they had some sort of authority. So people started to listen to them.
Well, can I say this? How about, didn't we find something, or didn't Tim find something that was contrary to what people said Isaac Newton said? He actually did not say what he said. He did not actually make a claim. He actually
About
even
gravity.
yeah, exactly.
Said
Okay, and
don't
did we not
subscribe.
realize? And did we not realize now that Eratosthenes or Eratosthenes, whatever his name is, he actually was measuring Earth flat? Now, could it be that the people who were purporting this globe heliocentric thing tried to do the same thing they're doing with science and took science
Well, he wasn't really.
and flipped it? Huh?
He wasn't
It's
really
a they
measuring
guy
Earth.
again.
He was just making stuff up and hoping for the best, and he got people to believe him.
Who are you talking about? The individuals?
If they did anything, and now I find, Nathan, what you put forth from that book about them trying to better predict Easter, right, using a globe, right, and heliocentric paradigm, that would only work for the north because the time zones are out in the south. Even if you want to mathematically make it work, it's not going to work for the south because the time zones are going to be out. So even if that was the case, it would only be centered on the north of the equator, not on the south. And I don't believe it is the case at all. I think that's just BS someone came up with, to be quite honest with you.
And that's
Because when you look at astronomy,
D.
1 second, D, when you look at astronomy and how they actually do it, the final thing they do is pre-assume a massive stationary plane with moving celestial bodies. Now, they can't do that and place themselves on a globe both north and south of the equator. Can't do that.
Yes, exactly. And to allude to what he's saying, just to say, who knows? All these people they're talking about who did this and did that, they're probably rolling their graves saying, that was not my intentions. That's not what I was saying.
I don't think so.
So you actually think that these people, well, how come we found the Newton thing about gravity?
Hold on.
He didn't confirm any assertion that gravity exists. He was just saying what his opinion was, and then I think he even kind of insulted his opinion, saying, but I would never say that this is.
Well, let's find out. I've got a spade. Have you got some smelling salts?
About now, things that we can actually physically prove to each other about how long this lie has been going on.
What is it with this garbage? So we can physically prove. Now, where would that sentence go if we were saying it? The Earth's flat based on the measurements. No, how long the lie's been going? Maybe this guy is just here as a springboard for people like SciManDan to bounce off, right? I can be conspiratorial too. Maybe you're controlled by the hidden hand you're talking about, CC, and you're only here because you're a complete spastic and very useful to people like Dan. Because you're not talking about people finding out how Earth is flat. You're talking about how they can find out how long the lie's been going on for. That seems like a very weird, subverted tangent to take us on. Wouldn't the overarching primary objective for you as a flat earther communicating with an audience be to tell them how Earth's flat rather than express their ideas of whether or not they should investigate the lie and how long it's been around? Because that's what you're suggesting. No, don't do that. It irks me greatly. No. Don't look into heliocentrism. If you ask, fine, I'll tell you. No worries. We'll point out what Copernicus, in the rhetoric that may or may not be true, alludes to. That leads us to the point where people believe they're on a ball. But really, who cares? Because that story has a better inference that I can take people to in terms of the measurements that story's based on. And they prove it's flat. So why wouldn't it go straight there? I think you're a shill, CC. You're just here to help Dan. So, you know, a soft, low-hanging fruit that's always there to be picked. Yeah? That's what you are. Now, I'm not really saying you're controlled by the hidden hand you're alluding to that doesn't exist. That's absurd. But I do think you're stupid and useful to people like SciManDan. You don't know it's flat, that's for absolute certainty. Shout out to Sensual Goats, just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much indeed.
Hold on a second. Chocolate's got a song, and in the song it says, "Why would they lie?" So you're saying that there's not a lie?
It's an appeal to motivation fallacy. That's the point.
I know what you're saying. We're here to demonstrate that Earth is measured flat. There's no need to go into why would they lie or how long has the lie been going on. I agree, but it still's a lie.
Yeah. To put it into context for people who don't understand the appeal to motivation fallacy. You find your wife in bed with another man. Do you leave your wife? Or do you start appealing to her? Why? What did I do wrong? Was I not a good enough lover? It's like, what are you doing? You nuts? Why are you appealing to her motivation? You know, don't consider your wife anymore. Get a divorce. That's what people do with NASA. That also irks me. Well, why would NASA lie? Let's keep pointing it. Let's go down there with pitchforks and torches. Tell them that they're lying to us. No, that's not how you deal with liars. The way you deal with liars is you turn your back on them. Never interact with them ever again. That's how you deal with liars. What happens if you go and appeal to the liar and they just lie to you again? Shocking, isn't it?
I don't think you can call it a lie. It's just a falsehood. They're wrong. We can show how they're wrong. We can prove they're wrong. We can't prove they're lying.
No, they're lying.
Yeah, we can. Astronauts.
If we're talking
astronauts, that I wasn't talking about astronauts.
Yeah, that's who.
So we're not talking about going down to NASA headquarters and talking to employees either. We're talking about the people at the order that are in charge of the order of operations, especially the people who are setting up the cameras for the ISS and all that, whatever.
No, I don't know. No, they could easily be being bullshitted too. As in, they may not know that they're part of a deception. The people setting up the cameras, the people producing the technology, the stuff that goes into the rockets to be blasted off into space, all of those engineers, all of those jobs, there's very, very, very few people that you can actually point at and go, liar. Astronauts, that's it. John just alluded to that. I thought you were going to back him up, actually, Eli. But your point isn't that.
No, I agree with I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that the engineers either, because what was QE's guy? The guy who used to be, what's that?
Robert Pisano.
The guy, Robert Pisano. He had a conversation with the guy that supposedly put up the Hubble telescope or something. And that guy admitted he didn't know anything about actually directly seeing it. He just looks at a computer screen. And so, yeah, none of those guys, but specifically the people that claim to be on the ISS.
What about the people who own the airline? Who know about it? What about all those people? All the people who try to make people believe they're flying around the globe and they put effort in.
Nah, they can still be.
They know that. They know about that. They have to be lying.
They could be deluded. They could be deluded too, because we see a flat plane. We see a flat plane all around us, and most people, the people who aren't like ballers, they agree. They're like, yeah, when you look around you, you know, you just see a big circle. It's like a slice of an orange, and you're standing on the flat seeming part, but it's really just a ball. They think that the part that they see is flat, but you know, and the wider understanding of the world is something else.
Yeah, the student I was just talking to, he said we never took it in.
Looking at something. Sorry, Idiot. I just need to respond to Eli there. I'm sorry. We're not talking about someone who people are just looking at something. We're talking about the directors of Qantas, for God's sake, and Lufthansa. You tell me that they aren't telling people that they aren't trying to give people the impression it's a globe with the projections they put on the back of the seat. Like, they know those planes aren't doing any of this. And accounting for any curvature or rotation, they're fully aware of this. All their engineers are fully aware of it. I'm not saying all their engineers are lawyers, but there's definitely lawyers in Qantas and Lufthansa.
I don't agree with
Airways,
that. No, you can't charge them with that. People live in cognitive dissonance all the time. So people that are acutely aware that the plane flies over a plane, they may still be perfectly reasonable to have a ball belief and hold those two contradictory positions simultaneously. Like, cognitive dissonance is real. So the unbeknownst to you, you're in cognitive dissonance fact of the matter in this instance doesn't automatically prove they're lying, Brian. No way. No wow. No.
So Qantas trying to give everyone the impression that they're flying over a globe and trying to say that that their pilots fly from this route, from this place to this place, but won't give the correct details of the route, or won't even disclose the things they've had to do to the planes to get them to do that in the times allotted, blah, blah, blah. There's no deception going on there whatsoever.
No.
Okay, Nathan.
I know you're saying it. Let me respond.
We'll leave it at that. Leave it at that.
I know you're saying it sarcastically, but by the same token, when Chocolate and I have a similar story of swinging a bucket of water over our head when we've been given the description of gravity and going, that don't make no sense. But I continued on as a heliocentrist. Now, in the same token, somebody at Qantas who's gone, that don't make no sense if we're on a ball, and then he airs it to somebody, like me airing it to my uncle. And they go, no, it corrects, gravity self-corrects the plane. And the person goes, oh, right, how does that work then? Oh, well, it's a fourth-dimensional bent geodesic. And the guy goes, oh, right, yeah, I understand. And then gets on with his day going, I don't really understand this, right?
I'm talking about the people who are at the top of Qantas, not some random engineer who actually would know better because he'd know. So what you're saying doesn't work for people who are mechanics or airline engineers and mechanics. That doesn't work for them. What you just said, that doesn't work for them. So I'm talking about. I'm not even pointing. 1 second. I just want to clarify for Nathan here. I'm not even pointing the finger at them. I'm talking about the people at the top brass of these airlines who know that. Sorry, go on,
brother. What you just said though is to say that it wouldn't work for the mechanics and engineers. I know plenty of mechanics and engineers that know that level is horizontal and still believe that Earth is a globe.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
This student I've been talking to, hold on.
Sorry, Nate. It seems like it seems like he just chose to not listen to what I said and strawman the. Forget it. Go on, Nate.
No, we just disagreed with you.
I'm just saying the kid that I was speaking to.
No, you weren't able to report back. Sorry, Neil. You weren't able to report back. What John just said, it was a complete dismissal of my actual point, my final point.
Okay.
Sorry,
well, okay. No worries. Hold on. I'm not going to tolerate that. Fine. You show me a Qantas employee that knows for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat, but continues to create the globe model on the back of the flight seat that you'd stare at as you're in the flight. You show me that, and then I'll rescind my point when I disagreed with you. Fine. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the top brass, Nathan. Who know better? Who know all the routes? Who know what speeds the plane?
Oh, fair enough. Okay, show me them.
Give me the phone number of an astronaut.
I know that they're lying because of the second law that they violate when they tell us.
That's the standard. You're looking for the address of somebody I don't know. So you surely have a number I can text for an astronaut.
Okay, right. Whether or not you like it, you're going to be hard pushed to justify this with the same standards as astronauts. There's no violating the law of nature that they suggest they are when they're in space, therefore liars. Easy to say, easy to summarise. You can't do it for Qantas. Sorry. That's how it is.
Just this kid that I've been talking to that's training to be a pilot. He said he never thought about it until I brought it up. they're just going through the motions. I think that's what it is. They think they're on a ball. They're just going through the motions. No matter how flat it seems, they're not putting it together until somebody brings it to their attention.
It's the dancing bear of reality, man.
Exactly. How many bounces of the ball did the green team do? It was at least 72. Did you see the bear? What bear? You didn't see the bear? Nope.
Yeah, but once you bring it up to him, he can't stop thinking about it. He's coming to me now.
Well, has anyone ever seen the movie, the show Silo?
The what?
The show Silo.
No, sorry.
Okay, so they're in this silo, right? Silo is like a bunker. Basically, they have like generators to live like underground and everything. And they had like screens to show them the outside world. To cut to the chase, basically everyone's under the impression that if you go outside, you'll die. But some people don't buy it. There are little artifacts and things about the world before, like grass being green and, you know, rain and stars. They don't even know what stars are. They just see these repeating patterns as they go across the screen. And they're like, oh, they don't know what that is.
Yep.
Now, man, I'm going to have to ruin it. So if you guys are planning on watching it, don't listen to the rest of this. I repeat, don't listen to the rest of this.
Eli,
But the bottom line,
Eli, you told them about the holographs and everything, right? How they make it look on the screen, but it's reality. They can't tell from the inside looking out what's really going on. You told them that part, right? The illusion, like the way NASA does the illusion.
not yet. I was trying to give
sorry.
people a chance to not listen. You just straight up fucked that up. But
no swearing.
So, but I mean, this is more. This is the part that's going to really spoil it. So, towards the end of the season or the second season, I forget which one it is. They're getting closer to figuring out. Like, there's a guy that just absolutely believes that when you go outside, they either poison you to make you die, or like he just believes that there's something that he's just going to survive and it's going to be okay, and there are people outside and that everyone in the silo is lying, right?
It's Plato's cave.
So there comes a point where, so the people at the almost top, the people that know that these are just computer generated images, they're doing that for a good cause, and even they don't know what's outside, but they're still deceiving people for some good cause for the sake of the silo, whatever. Only one person is privy to what's going on. So somebody hacks into the system or something, shuts it down, and the people that are controlling the screens can actually see what's outside. And the main director is like, shut your effing eyes. You shut your effing eyes. Don't look at that. So it's like, even the people that know that they're deceiving people about something, even they didn't know exactly what was going on. So it's like, we don't know how many layers deep this goes.
Yeah, that's good. And I appreciate that and I understand that. But now that you brought that up, let me throw this at you. Some of the bigger airline manufacturers, the ones that build the big commercials, not Airbus, but some of the other ones. I don't think Airbus, but some of the other ones. They're trying to advocate at present for moving all windows from the planes and replacing them with LED screens so they can show you whatever the hell they want. Now, they're originally trying to say that that's because of structural issues, but that's been shown to be wrong. It's not to do with, they could do it different and have the same and have better structural. They could have a better structure by having two windows, but both half the size of the original window.
Wow,
it's
that's
not to do with that.
interesting.
Yeah. So don't be like, if you want to think, there's no lawyers in these top of these companies, there's no way. McDonnell Douglas, they're not lawyers. No way. Boeing, never. Right. And you can believe that if you want.
Okie dokie. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Thank you to G+ and Discord, and I'll see you all in the next video.